Social Gloves was an event created by someone with very lofty and unrealistic expectations, who ignored all red flags about the event not going as planned. Social Gloves was a new twist on a popular event, boxing, that already existed. The sales numbers of the event were 100% predicated on the promotion of the event by numerous social media influencers with large followings. The allure of the event was increased by the addition of popular musical acts, and it's become a disaster for the people needing to get paid. And then it hit me. This is very similar to the Fyre Festival event. Austin McBroom was warned numerous times that the event could not continue, given how little the sales numbers would be in comparison to expectations. Billy McFarland was told numerous times to cancel the event, knowing the production wouldn't match expectations, and both actually put many people's lives in danger. Fyre Festival was a music festival, which is not a new concept, but the twist was new. You go to an exotic beach location and party with your favorite influencers. Social Gloves was boxing, which is not a new concept, but the twist of having influencers punch each other in the ring to determine who are better fighters between YouTubers and TikTokers was new. Thankfully, the Social Gloves event itself was a success for the paying customers in the sense that they received what they paid for: musical performances, knockouts, and boxing. The Fyre Festival was an abomination for those who paid. But both events are battling the same main issue: paying those who have not been paid. If you watch the Fyre Festival documentary on Netflix, the people you feel the worst for are all of the day laborers and the woman chef who worked their hardest for a month putting together an event and have yet to be paid. The Social Gloves fighters haven't been paid, and no signs are pointing to them ever getting paid anything close to what they're owed, which leads me to the next lawsuit. This one was filed by Michael Lee, one of the fighters on Team TikTok. Michael Lee is suing Simply Greatness Productions, who we later found out is Austin's company, Austin McBroom personally, and his dad Alan. This lawsuit is different from the others and contains wording that leads me to believe that this will for sure lead to a judgment against Austin personally. He's suing for breach of contract, breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, fraud, and negligent misrepresentation. If you are like me and have no idea who any of these TikTok influencers are, I think you'll be surprised at how big their brand is. Michael Lee is an entertainer, performer, and dancer who has, over the course of his career, amassed a massive following over social media platforms. Lee has over 49.7 million followers on the social media platform TikTok, 2.67 million subscribers on YouTube, and 2.7 million followers on Instagram. I know it's easy to clown on dancing TikTokers, but as someone who's been on YouTube since 2015, it's incredibly difficult to build up a social media following, especially if you started recently. 50 million followers on TikTok is pretty impressive, and he lives in a multi-million-dollar house in LA from his dancing, where he houses his entire family. Lee began his career on TikTok in 2016 and quickly became one of the platform's most popular users. Today, he is the 11th most followed account on TikTok, bringing large amounts of exposure to any brand or event he promotes. I would love to know the real economics of someone like Michael Lee, how much money he makes from brand deals, how often he does brand deals, and how much money he actually drives to a product. If someone knows, please DM me on Instagram. The way I see it, I feel like 90% of TikTokers would not be making any money if it weren't for Bang Energy. In February 2021, Lee was recruited by Simply Greatness Productions LLC to take part in a pay-per-view boxing event, Social Gloves Battle of the Platforms. As the most followed performer in the event, Lee's presence was sought to expand the reach of the event. The reason why I'm so curious about a brand's evaluation of teaming up with an influencer is I actually think few influencers directly drive traffic or influence purchase behavior. The brands who seem to do the best are those that benefit from mass marketing through every top influencer. Basically, the collective awareness of a product influences increased sales, but not one specific influencer. This dude has millions of followers. You would think that he alone could drive 100,000 sales of the event just based on average conversion numbers, and you're talking about a new event where he will be boxing someone. In consideration for Lee's performance in the event, Lee was promised a total of $425,000, $25,000 of which was paid as a signing bonus for the event, and the other $400,000 guaranteed to be paid upon Lee's participation in the event. Would you box in an event for $425,000 if you had 50 million followers on TikTok and nearly 3 million on both YouTube and Instagram? A single night of boxing for $400,000 seems lucrative, and trust me, I'd love to make that much in a single night, but man, that seems awfully low for someone with so much influence. However, despite Lee and the other talent participating in the event on June 12, 2021, SGP has yet to pay Lee and most of the other talent. In just a minute, you'll see why I think Michael is best positioned to get paid out of all the fighters, but he still hasn't been paid. I know most of you probably didn't watch the fight, but Michael was, I believe, the only one to really get knocked out by taking a punch and dropping. Maybe there were others, but he was definitely the most talked about. The dude got knocked out in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and the clip has now been seen by millions, and he didn't get paid for it. Instead of working to pay Lee and any other talent the compensation they may be due, SGP has employed a series of tactics sought to allow SGP to skirt its financial responsibilities, such as employing the services of a premier bankruptcy firm to threaten bankruptcy and to request the talent not make any demand for payment due to the apparent underperformance of the event. Assuming Austin is driving the behavior of SGP, he seems like a child who didn't get the present he wanted for Christmas and is throwing a fit trying to pull out all stops to avoid paying people what they're owed. If you've been following the series, then you know all of the money Austin has been spending on accounting firms, bankruptcy attorneys, attorney costs to file lawsuits, and flying private jets to the actual event. This next paragraph is really important and obvious that Michael Lee or whoever was advising him knew what to put in contract. However, this situation is one that Lee negotiated specifically to avoid. While SGP's original draft of the agreement between SGP and Lee listed the $400,000 as contingent compensation, which would be due upon receipts of revenue by SGP, Lee negotiated, and the final agreement reflects that the $400,000 is not contingent on SGP's receipt of a specific revenue amount from the pay-per-view distributor Live by Live, and that if SGP was not paid any revenues at all, they would still be obligated to make full payment for the $400,000. Clearly, Michael, his family, his attorney, or whoever helped Michael negotiate the contract knew what to write to protect Michael. For people who hate legalese, basically Michael changed the original contract to state that he would get paid no matter how successful or how much of a failure the event turned out to be. No matter the sales numbers, Michael would get paid his $400,000 for participating. Right at the end of the paragraph, this sentence slipped in. Defendants also represented SGP to be fully capitalized to make payment. This is really interesting because Austin, representing SGP, would have already paid the fighters what was owed if he was fully capitalized. Using Batch Lead software, link in the description if you're a real estate investor, I was able to see that the McBroom family home has an auction date for today, September 27, 2021. I don't want to speculate and be wrong, so I'll let you decide what this means, but they received a notice of default a little while ago and now have an auction date. Here's the LA County Tax Assessor website showing they are delinquent on taxes too. Using Batch Lead software again, their yearly property taxes are nearly $121,000 for their mansion. That's $10,000 a month just in property taxes. Imagine how much you need to be making in order to pay that amount every month. If we're going by people's behavior and not their words, the McBrooms are in financial trouble. The amount of lawsuits, the presumed associated legal fees, Austin squirming around to avoid paying people money owed, it just doesn't seem like behavior from someone with money, and here's why it matters. Austin, on behalf of SGP, claimed to be fully capitalized to make payment to Michael. Lawyers help me out here, but that's either breach of contract or fraud maybe, but this has also led me to research the personal responsibilities of an LLC manager. This is a Kirk Simas article on personal liability risks for LLC members and managers. Corporations Code section blah blah provides that an LLC member or manager may be personally liable for the company's debts and obligations pursuant to common law alter ego principles under the same or similar circumstances and to the same extent as a shareholder of a corporation. I'm certainly not a lawyer, so I'm bringing this up because it's pretty fascinating. If any lawyers want to add a comment below where I'm wrong, I'll be interested in seeing, but I think Austin is going to be held personally liable for the debt owed to Michael Lee on behalf of Simply Greatness Productions LLC. An LLC member or manager may also be personally liable to third parties, 1, for tortious conduct in which the member actually participates, or 2, pursuant to the terms of a written guarantee or other contract into which the member enters other than the operating agreement. Per number 1, Austin participated in the Social Gloves event as Austin McBroom and possibly signed the SGP agreement on behalf of the company. I feel like there's a connection that could be made there to solidify my point. And number 2, it sounds like he not only had an agreement, but also a promise that he was fully capitalized to handle the payment, which is clearly not the case. There's something called common law alter ego liability. The factors that would influence a court to find alter ego liability include A, treating the company's assets as the individual's own, B, failing to maintain records, C, undercapitalizing the company, and D, using the company as a shell for the individual. I don't believe A, B, and D apply, but C is interesting. Austin knowingly undercapitalized his company and the terms of the contracts he was signing. Based on all the information available to the public through interviews and lawsuits, Austin signed contracts stating he would be paying exorbitant amounts of money to the fighters. All of these fighters not getting paid is due to Social Gloves only selling 136,000 pay-per-view tickets in contrast with the millions Austin believed it would sell. He signed contracts he couldn't fulfill clearly because if he could fulfill them with money raised or from personal funds, he would have paid everyone and taken the massive L that Social Gloves was, financially speaking. Despite Lee's demand for payment to be made, none has yet to come. Some of the other talent have also enacted litigation, and SGP and Live by Live now have brought actions against one another. My first house hack houses tenants who generally are not in a great financial position in life, so I've dealt with a lot of people who are battling financial issues. I could sense it in Austin right away. way, his behavior aligns perfectly with someone trying to get away with keeping as much money as possible for fear of the repercussions of having to pay out all that is owed. Additionally, McBroom and his father sought to keep their ownership of SGP anonymous by incorporating in Delaware and devising a scheme whereby McBroom would transfer ownership to Paul Kazers, executive producer of the event, only for the days that SGP executed agreements with the talent. I'm not an expert of the law, obviously, but Austin's constant scheming to make sure no one knew of his involvement with the production of the event, numerous instances of signing contracts he couldn't fulfill unless Social Gloves sold, as well as any legitimate UFC or boxing fight, and now his behavior of avoiding responsibility has got to result in a massive financial judgment. Despite these warning signs, the event proceeded and ultimately garnered about 136,000 pay-per-view purchases, consistent with the projections of Miss Stone to the McBrooms, but a far cry from the projections of 5 to 10 million that the McBrooms touted to the talent. These numbers were known to the McBrooms and SGP, but ignored. Austin and Billy McFarland seem pretty similar with how they treated both events. It's odd that they have last names that both start with Mick too. Anyway, there were numerous warning signs that contracts and obligations couldn't be fulfilled, yet both wanted to be the star of the show, so they continued on like the events would go smoothly. This section is the first claim for breach of contract. If Live by Live does not pay SGP any revenues, SGP is nonetheless obligated to make full payment to Lee within 15 days after Live by Live provides SGP notice of revenues. In Austin McBroom's pre-planned press conference outside of an LA restaurant, he was already promoting the idea of a Social Gloves 2 event. My first reaction was that Social Gloves 2 feels like the start of a Ponzi scheme where he puts on a new event to pay the fighters from the previous event. It looks like it's pretty accurate because these fighters aren't getting paid until Austin or Catherine pull another scam and make a bunch of money. This event may not have had the insane cultural damage that Fyre Festival received, given how that calamity turned out, but this one is turning into a drama-filled influencer event all the same. I've been saying it, I don't see the fighters getting paid at all. Austin is acting like an emotional teenager who isn't getting his way and doesn't want to admit responsibility for his actions. I think the McBrooms are about to have reality hit them in the face soon. Michael Lee's lawsuit definitely feels like one that will reach a quick judgment based on the wording and contracts. The problem is, I don't think Austin has the money to pay up. The flashy lifestyle that draws their fans' attention may be what takes them down. Thanks for watching.